That's why I decided to push it kind of in the light.
You're calling it the switch vehicle?
Mm-hmm. The switch vehicle.
The grant came from.
The company that manufactured the kit is a switch company.
And how much was the grant for?
$55,000.
And our students welded all this together?
No, the students didn't weld it. It come prefabbed, but the students assembled everything else on it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And so you'll put batteries, 12-volt batteries in here.
Correct. 6 of them.
And
we'll also put an electric controller that goes here. And the batteries go on the front. And then we're going to put it around.
And how much time do you think you've got to run it around?
Probably, I'm hoping we get it done probably by the end of March.
But once you get the batteries in it, how long will it run?
It goes for 17 miles before it runs out of juice. And then we can charge it back up and then go 17 miles the next day.
Or put new batteries in.
Yeah, I don't think so. The batteries are pretty expensive.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What do you think, Miss Aqenenni? You're gonna ride around campus in this?
Yeah.
Give rides, maybe raffle?
I'll be in it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a few batteries out for her to drive it. That way it goes slower.
No.
Please don't.
Exactly. Please don't take out.
Yeah, well, job well done.
Kids are doing it. They're doing an awesome job.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Good.
Okay, into open session at Terrace, seconded by Dr. Robinson. At 7:12. Action determined in closed session. Item B. In closed session, the board took action to issue a notice pursuant to Educational Code Section 44929.21. Employees identified by 3102 and 3116 shall be given notice that he or she is not re-elected for the year 2021 school year effective at the end of the 2019 and 2020 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notice. The vote was as follows. All in favor was Yolanda Sanchez, Larry Tansky, Dr. Carol Robinson, and Mario Gutierrez. Absent today is James Bender. Closed session, item C. In closed session, the board took action pursuant to Educational Code Section 44951 to direct that notice of reassignment for the year 2020-2021 school year and subsequent school years be given to the certificated administrator in the following position: Assistant Principal of Rosamond High School. The board's action was taken by the following vote. Yeas were Yolanda Sanchez, Larry Tansky, Dr. Carol Robinson, and Mario Gutierrez. Absent is Mr. James Bender. It also checked. And then claims for damages for February 18, 2020. There was denied by 4 board members and 1 absent. A recording of this meeting is being made and shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Carol Robinson. Oh, I'm sorry. Cadet Corps. By the Cadet Corps.
Please stand for the presentation of the colors. Forward, face. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, left, left, left. Your left, your right, your right, your right, left. Come left, march. Left, 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 right, left. Come left, march. Left, left, left. present colors. Arms. Present arms. Yes, sir. Trustees on the right back. Her arms. Right. Face. Forward. March. Color left. March. Up. Left. Up. Right. Left. Color left. March. Left, march, left, right. Drill team, hold. Mrs. Aqenenni, California Cadet Corps Program 273rd Battalion, 15th Brigade. Drill team requested permission to use drill to perform 15 count manual armed man. Left, face. Order, arms. In cadence! In cadence! By the numbers, 15 count manual of arms. Ready? 1. Ready? 2. Ready? 3. Ready? 4. Ready? 5. Ready? 6. Ready? 7. Ready? 8. Ready? 9. Ready? 10. Ready? 11. Ready? 12. Ready? 13. Ready? 14. Ready? 15. Right, face, port, arms, forward, march, left, right, left. Hold, face, order, arms. General Right. Face. Left. Face. 3, 5. Yes, sir. 3, 5. Yes, sir. 3, 5. Yes, sir. Move, sir. Right. Face. Fall from the left. Color. Left. Color. March. Left. Left. March. Right. Left.
That was great. I really enjoyed that. I hope everyone roll call. Larry Hansky is here. Carol Robinson. Jim Bender, absent. Maury Gutierrez and Dwayne Moore. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Gutierrez, second by. Okay. All in favor? Aye. One absent. Comments from the public. Members of the public may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation to trustee secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. We have John Jorgensen.
So my name is John Jorgensen. I'm the father of a couple of students at Tropico Middle School. And honestly, the reason for me coming tonight was just to kind of advocate for some information that I kind of was brought to my attention today. And I'm really just advocating for our students because our kids, I have been brought to the attention, or it's been brought to my attention that our students are not being allowed or given the opportunity to promote together as a class. Forgive me for my lack of not knowing or understanding why, but we have been informed that there will be 2, possibly 3 promotion ceremonies. My son is in the 8th grade and promoting. We have been in we've been in the Antelope Valley our entire lives. My kids have gone to school from beginning to end here in Rosamond. We've started kindergarten all the way up through now 8th grade. I've got great kids. This community has got some great kids, and it just seems to be a little bit of a frustration to know that our kids do not get the opportunity to promote together and promote with their friends and with their class, and instead being separated, you know, either by last name or however that's going to be addressed. But I just felt that it was really important and really necessary that our kids get awarded the opportunities that previous classes have. I understand that maybe gowns will not be worn this year. maybe that's not such a big issue. But again, these kids being provided the opportunity to promote with their class, with their friends, with their life, because that's what these kids have known. So I just wanted to just kind of bring it to the attention and maybe just see that our kids get awarded the opportunity to do that. If it can still be done here at the high school, if it can be done somewhere where they can do it together and still have a comfortable environment for everybody and not feel really crammed into any area. And I think the high school is the most opportune place to do that. But again, I just feel like I'm advocating for our kids and for our students and giving them opportunity. I know when I promoted years and years ago, I won't say how long ago, but from middle school, that was a thing that I really remembered. It was one of those things, promoting with your friends and having a camaraderie, and just being able to do it together and do it as a class. So I understand there may not be a response tonight. I just appreciate you guys hearing out my concerns and hoping that maybe it can be addressed. Maybe there's some rectification or something that can happen so that these kids can just be together in their final days as they approach their promotion and commencement ceremonies. So thank you guys very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Rosamond High School, Elaine, Moore.
Hey, I'm Dwayne Moore. I'm the Rosamond High School ASB president, for those of you who don't know. I'm just going to give you a little update on the high school. Boys volleyball has tryouts tomorrow at 5:30 in the gym. ASB has a pep rally on March 12th. Next week will be Spring Fling Week, which is a spirit week. There will be a blood drive on March 19th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. There were 52 participants in the ASVAB test last Thursday. All had their first match in Bishop today at noon. JV softball beat Lancaster Eagles 12-6 yesterday. Baseball has a game this Thursday against Hesperia. Prom tickets are on sale for $100 till March 19th or $180 for two. Our senior trip is $115 on May 1st, which fees are due by April 17th. Grad night is $85 on May 29th. Deadline to purchase is May 15th. That's all I have.
Hello, I'm Audrey. We are still selling well Spanish chocolate along with other students' activity grades. We are planning the end of the year carnival and the end of the year field trips. The sixth graders field trip is May 21st at the movies and the cost is $12. The seventh graders is May 29th at Morgan's and it's $20. The eighth graders is at May 22nd at Magic Martin, Matson, $45. Our rescheduled dance will be March 13th, 6 to 9 p.m. The theme is Spring Gala. Tickets are $8 pre-sale and $10 at the door. We are waiting on food roach from cafeteria. Our other options are in and out subway for Costco pizza. Sports. Girls and boys soccer teams have won 3 games and lost 2. They play tomorrow against HARGUS. Track will begin soon.
Okay, I have one more comment. This week we had build-your-own breakfast bars and pancakes, breakfast burritos, and all that. Ms. Aqenenni got a comment from a student. She said, as you know, this week has been a build-your-own breakfast. It would be nice if we could keep it around. This would be beneficial. Today at nutrition, there were twice as many students eating breakfast. Most of those students want to know if it will stay around. Most students don't like eating school food because it is the same thing. I know it's only because of National Breakfast Week, but please consider this.
Lisa Aqenenni is going to comment on the showcase.
First off, we have a small gift for each of the board members and Mrs. Gaines. This was made out of our manufacturing class. It was made with a laser printer. It's a show of our appreciation for you guys and all the support you give us all year long. So I do want to say thank you to the board, to Mrs. Gaines and the cabinet for allowing us this time to show what we do here at Rosamond and how wonderful we feel some of our projects are. So first off, you got to see the cadet corps that we had. So this is our first year for cadet corps. It's taking the place of junior ROTC. So we have that. You can see how wonderful they are. There's quite a few kiddos that are in that group there that made quite a turnaround from having some structure, having direction in their lives. They've really turned around a lot, and Commander Wallace really has to be commended for that. Our band, when I get done speaking here really quickly, the band is going to play a song that Mrs. Gaines had requested, and we'll be able to do that very shortly. So some of our celebrations that we have to say is in December, we took our first interim test in math and English for the SBAC. We're trying to use it to get the kids more adjusted and acclimated to the rigor and the way the test is composed. The questions and what's being asked of them is a much higher rigor rate than it is during normal classroom instruction. So we want to make sure that they have practice for it. We're hoping that we'll see some better scores this year. We also have 2 ELD classes this year. They are filled with students from levels 1 through 4, and they are leveled between 2 classes. One class is 1 and 2 level, and then there's another class period with 3 and 4 level ELDs. And so we're also hoping with that we'll have some higher LPAC scores and higher reclassification rate, because these kids are getting some really good instruction now and getting some good reports. We also have AVID this year, is available for all grade levels. All of our core classes are A through G approved through the UC portal. Math, science, ELA, and history are beginning discussions on updating their pacing guides to review their relevance, rigor, and alignment to the Common Core standards. Math, science, ELA, and history are also discussing protocols to establish benchmarks to show student progress on the standards. We currently really don't have any benchmarking at our school site to show progress on the standards, so that's something that we're going to be starting to really look into with leadership. We used to do the STAR test. All that shows is growth in reading comprehension. So that's really, we're keeping that only for the ELD so we can show growth in their mastery of the English language. And then a huge thing happened. We had WASC in October. The visit went really well. We were awarded a 6-year validation with a 2-day visit at mid-cycle, which that'll be in 3 years from now. So they'll come here 2 years to check on how well we have done on all of our goals, and I know it's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. But I really want to thank all the district office for allocating funds for paid time for our staff to compose the document. I want to say thank you to food services, maintenance, and our site custodians. Rosie and Raven took good care of our visiting team by keeping the team fed and happy. They did a great job making sure everything was there. They made sure the snacks, beverages, and lunches were served on time and were delicious. Faculties and maintenance worked very hard and made our campus sparkle. And then our site custodial staff kept our site in tip-top shape. The success of this visit was a direct result of the teamwork of the entire district. Here at Rosamond High, we're truly grateful. And now Mr. Riley's going to be bringing up a few slides.
So I wanted to talk a little bit, first of all, about our winter sports. We had a very successful winter sports season. Our girls soccer team finished first in league. Our girls basketball also finished first, as well as our boys soccer. And our boys basketball finished third in league. Our boys soccer also, for the first time ever in league, did not allow any goals during the league season. So that was the first time that's ever happened in the history of our league. So all our teams advanced to CIF, with our girls soccer advancing to the semifinal game, girls basketball, boys soccer advancing to the second round, and our boys basketball made it into the playoffs, but they did lose in the first round. Our wrestling team, we had 5 wrestlers advance to CIF. 2 finished in 4th place and 1 moved on to the next level, which is called CIF Masters. So we're very proud of our winter sports and how they represented Rosamond. Now I want to get back to WASC. Based on conversations with leadership team and then also recommendations from WASC, we're going to be incorporating go back to AP classes, starting with the 12th grade next year. So we'll have AP in government, calculus, and English literature. Those teachers will be attending training in the summer at AP by the Sea in San Diego. The administration and the district office have been working on getting sample curriculum so that we can have that approved and ready to go for the beginning of the next school year. Also, based on recommendations from WASC, we are going to have more sections available for Algebra 2 to allow more opportunities for students to enroll. Currently, our Algebra 2 enrollment is quite low. Many students as juniors or seniors when they're beginning that third year of math want to go into business math or math for trades. It's really not increasing the rigor and really preparing them for the SBAC or college level math. So starting next year, we will implement a new procedure that all students who have earned a C or better in geometry will be enrolled in Algebra 2. So that will increase the rigor and then, again, better prepare those students for the SBAC testing and then also for the college math classes that they'll have to take at some point in time. Enrollment in business math next year will be limited to those students who are also enrolled in a CTE class. And the math for trades class we now offer, that math curriculum will be embedded into our construction and our manufacturing classes instead of having a separate section for math for trades. At Algebra 1, we talked about how we can help those students that struggle in Algebra 1. I know our administration and Tropical Middle School, along with Mr. Quellman, have worked to try to come up with a plan to identify those students who may need that extra support. So this spring we will be administering the UC Berkeley Algebra Readiness Test for all the incoming 9th graders, the promoting 8th graders. This data will help determine which students are shown to be ready to be successful in high school algebra, and then also identify those that may need extra support or intervention. In response to that, we would like to offer at least 2 sections of a 2-year Algebra 1 class. And that would be that Algebra 1 class would be taught over a 2-year period so that the pace can be slowed down, the concepts can be better taught, and that students can be better ready to move on to that next level of math, which would be geometry. So that is, again, something we're working on with Tropico and would like to offer to our students that, again, we know they struggle in math and hopefully make them better successful and make them more confident as they move forward in math. So I will now turn it back over to Ms. Aqenenni.
We've also had discussions to increase some electives, especially make them available to our juniors and seniors. We found that a lot of them are TAs or something that really isn't getting them any more ready for college. So I sent out a survey on SurveyMonkey, and I put out about if the kids would like to see choir, psychology, or sociology, and and a couple other ones too, child psychology, and I think there was one more. These are the 3 that the students agreed that they would like to see. So we're going to be adding those into our master schedule next year. So we'll have some more to offer our kids. Currently, Mr. Riley is our acting athletic director. The duties, oh dear, sorry guys. The duties of the athletic director currently taken away from his AP duties on a daily basis. For 2020-21 school year, we would like to request 2 prep period buyouts for our new AD to handle all of the sports planning responsibilities. They also have to work on getting the kids cleared for sports, making sure they have all their paperwork in Sportsnet. It's a lot of work, and it does take Mr. Riley away from his AP duties. Health class. We met in leadership a couple of times this year, and the subject came up about health. The leadership team had agreed, and they felt that the students would benefit greatly by having a health class back. Avid students could possibly take PE or health classes during the summer school. This would allow them room in their schedules for the Avid and or health classes. Because right now, the way it sits, they wouldn't have enough, and it would be discouraging to the Avid kids. And even some of the CTE kids, If they could take the health and or PE during summer school, that could open up another period for them to take maybe another CTE pathway class, or they could still stay in AVID. This year, our site leadership team is going to be attending the Summer Institute for AVID. So we're very excited. We have a really great site leadership team. We currently have a representative from probably every department on our school site. We're going to maintain the AVID classes on campus. We will follow the interview and application processes as per AVID requirements. This is something that I would like to see. I don't know how it will run this summer, but summer school could be held at Rosamond High School. We could offer credit retrieval classes and also enrichment classes. The credit retrieval classes would be based upon data from ARIES, and they would be working at it through, most of the classes could work through ASSSOCIATE. So we already have the software, we already pay for it. I have at least 3 teachers on campus that are trained to administer it, plus the teachers, some of the teachers from over at Rare Earth as well, and Abraham Lincoln are already trained for it. We could run it at the same time that we already have extended school year to help to assist with transportation. And we could also have classes that the kids need to take to fulfill graduation requirements. As I said earlier, summer school classes could be offered for AVID and CTE students or others to open up periods for classes during the school year. And for administration, we could split it up between existing administrators during summer school if needed. According to the data that we have been talking back and forth to Tropico, it looks as though we are going to need another SDC teacher. The caseloads are at 15 currently according to contract. We are planning on probably another 18 kids coming over for SDC and another 26 or 27 for RSP. And that would also mean that we would also need another RSP teacher. In RSP, we're only having about 8 kids graduating per se, so that would still be another 20-something kids coming in, and that would probably require another resource teacher and another SDC teacher. Again, thank you for your time. We appreciate the support of the board. Do you have any questions or? Do you guys have any questions or anything that you'd like to ask? Okay, now what you've been waiting for is our Rosamond High Band. Thank you very much.
We would like to share a selection that we presented during our winter showcase concert back in the first week of February. It's called a Winter Largo. It's from Vivaldi. It's been transcribed for band instead of orchestra. If you want to turn your chairs around, it's better than getting a stiff neck. I would like to add two things to Dwayne Moore's report, and that is that the Roadrunner Concert Band is going to be participating in a band and orchestra festival this Friday at Little Rock High School and next Thursday at Serrano High School in Phelan. I want to get the kids out as much as we can, and we've been working really hard and appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
As you guys walk in today, you probably saw a red race and this picture our police aircraft that we got this year. And this is all a brainstorm from Mr. Mark Riley over there. He and his auto class are working on it. So what you see out there, has been put together by the kids. The kid is a frame, so we have to worry about that part. But everything, all the work that you've seen on there so far that's done is all done by students in his auto class. So this has all been a part of a grant that you guys had authorized for us, and we wanted to see what the money is giving us, and it's going to be great. It's going to be an electric car, so we'll be able to have one. Yeah. So thank you.
Well, I'm sorry the band students are leaving because I was going to ask them, how many of you were in my class 7th or 8th grade? See, I helped teach them to count to 4. Well, Mr. Ferrandini back there helped get them started in band, and of course, that was huge for them being able to perform tonight. And then when we saw Cadet Corps tonight, wow, what student discipline does for their behavior. I've been talking about that a lot lately. But now on to the RTA report. And by the way, I need to get this podium for my classroom. This is fabulous. I have a few items for the board tonight. First of all, the district's calendar committee has met twice. Gary and I also met with Mrs. Gaines and Mrs. Hargus to discuss parts of the calendar. There are 2 primary changes the district wants to impose in which RTA has concerns. Can you still pay attention to me? The first issue is the beginning of school. For the last several years, we've had minimum days during every day the first week of school. This is important for 2 reasons. Number 1 is because early elementary students have a difficulty transitioning from summer break to a full day of school. Students are crying, resting their heads on their desks and asking, when is school over? And it's only 10 a.m. Of course, so are the teachers. The second issue is preparing for the school year. Rooms need to be organized, books and supplies need to be passed out, lesson plans need writing, informal grade level and department meetings need to be held, parent letters, syllabi, first week's activities need copying, and many other tasks await. Teachers desperately need the 1 or 2 hours every day the first week provided by minimum days to accomplish everything. Having a week of full days is tough on the students and tough on the teachers. I appreciate the fact that the district is offering one minimum day, but it should be the entire week. In a survey that I put out this week, 71% of the teachers responding prefer the preparation days the first week of school over 2 additional PLC days during the year. So I hope the district will take a look at that. The second issue is parent conferences at the end of the first quarter. For all my 27 years in the district, parent conferences have been held from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock in the evening. The district is now changing the schedule to conferences only during the regular school day. Personally, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. My concern is the change is being made without input from the parents who will not be able to attend conferences because of work. It will also be frustrating when parents then ask to schedule conferences at more convenient times in weeks before or after the scheduled parent conference day. So again, I would like the district to continue to look at that. Now, most teachers are fine with the change in schedule for parent conference day, about 69%. But parents need to be made aware of this change, along with the expectation that this will be the only day made available for conferences within the 2 or 3 week window. Next are programs being offered and restored by the district. Last year at this time, ROTC, CTE programs, AVID classes, and elementary PE programs were slated to be cut. ROTC was replaced and expanded, as we saw tonight, by California Cadet Corps. CTE programs are still in place. AVID classes were never eliminated and are scheduled to be restored and expanded next year. All of these are secondary programs. What about elementary PE? I said this last year, once these go away, they will not be replaced. So am I right or am I wrong? Is there talk or expectation about rehiring the 2 elementary PE teachers we lost? It is likely we will hire a new full-time person, or maybe 2, to expand the AVID program at the secondary level. So the PE program at elementary is not about providing prep time for the elementary teachers, as the board often suggests. It is about providing the 100 required minutes per week of quality PE programs our elementary students deserve every week. One elementary PE teacher services 800 students. One AVID teacher sees 150 students. Let's do the math. We heard just tonight the high school is asking for several new costly programs, or the expansion of programs. And these are great, I fully support them, but they should only be considered after elementary PE is restored. I spoke earlier of discipline. The district's discipline committee has had one meeting to look at this matrix for student behavior and their reasonable consequences. The committee is meeting again on March 10th, and I'll have more to report after that meeting. On the board agenda tonight, I have also met with Mrs. Gaines on the revised administrative salary schedule. RTA understands the need for the changes in the salary schedule. While the increased costs are minimal, they are increased costs. And every group in the district has taken on cuts over the last year, except for the administration. So I expect the district and the board to ensure that all 3 groups, administration, RTA, and CSEA, will get their fair share of any limited resources in the upcoming year. Finally, also on tonight's board agenda is RTA's proposal for opening negotiations for the 2020-2021 school years. The proposal is in the board's packet. The proposal in the board's packet is just a summary. There have been a few minor additions, but again, we're opening those articles, and what you have is a summary. Almost all the proposal is for simple language changes to clarify procedures, many of which are already in place. I have submitted 90% of the specific language changes to Mrs. Gaines. What you won't find in there is any request for salary increases or changes in benefits. I'm sure that Mrs. Gaines agrees with everything that we propose, and I expect that she will approve them all within 15 minutes of our first meeting. Or not. But according to the contract, the district may respond to our proposal at your first meeting in April or within 2 weeks. We hope to begin negotiations in April, so the sooner the better. If you have any questions during the open session to sunshine our proposal, I'd be glad to answer them and respond. Thanks very much. And I love this thing. This is great.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Do you have a CSCA report today? CBO report, Mr. Barr.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. I respond to a couple of comments. I was excited to hear that it was noticed that something different was done with the breakfast program and that the students felt that there was an increase in participation. An email was forwarded to the superintendent, to me, and then passed along to our nutrition department, and we're going to meet about it next week and discuss ways in which we may not be able to recreate exactly what was done this week. There's a certain intensity and capacity that we don't necessarily have to carry that through the year, but we could do a modified version of something, we think, and sort of work on that, see how soon we can implement and keep the food program going. It is a priority in this district to feed all children. I was very excited when I joined the district to learn that we were 100% free lunch access across the district. I think that is a commendable effort, and I'm proud to be part of that. There's a lot of work to do on replacement cycles and planning processes in the district, and so we have a lot of capital expenses ranging from technology to buses and the equipment in the kitchens. We will continue to file a negative certification at second interim, which is coming up next week. It has been expected, and we know it's coming. We're delighted that it looks like we will get out of negative certification, as I said, at first interim sooner than expected, end of this fiscal year. So we're ahead of schedule from what we were originally told by the county office, but we're pacing better than expected, which is good. And not only are total fund balances looking strong and healthy and recovering the way we want to see them, we have not seen dangerous dips in cash levels, which is part of what the county is monitoring. Because they want to make sure that when they're taking their money back, they run the risk of setting us up for missing payroll or not being able to come up with the next set of bills being paid. So they're very cautious when we do our cash flow every month. And I'm pleased that we have remained ahead of schedule. There are a lot of times when public school districts dip just because we're waiting for the pace and the schedule of the state to give us our next allotment of money. So we're looking like we're on the path to fiscal recovery, though we're not yet. Thank you.
Do you have HARGUS?
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I'm going to do a short presentation on having new STOPit app that we're going to be implementing at all of the school sites, and it's a new anti-bullying program. So these are just some general statistics about bullying that they come from the U.S. Department of Health. 95% of all teens ages 12 to 17 are now online. 80% of all teens use a cell phone. 150,000 teens skip school every day because of bullying. So we want to make sure that we can implement something that students can report any kind of incidents to their school administrators. This new STOPit app is completely anonymous. There is no way to trace anybody's email, anybody's cell phone number. It is completely anonymous. And so it's a software platform that helps deter inappropriate conduct, bullying. Students will be able to report that. And the interesting thing about this is students will download it from the App Store, or they can do it on we'll be having the website on everybody's laptop, and they can get onto it very quickly, and they'll be able to report in real time. So when a student reports, an administrator is going to receive that on their phone. So all the administrators will have the app on their phone as well. When a student reports something, how does it work? It just is like I said, it's an app, real time. People will be able to use it very quickly. I'll show you in a minute kind of the back end of it, what administrators will be able to see as far as the incidents. There's going to be a series of questions. There's resources for students if they're having any kind of issues. Lots of information in this app, but again, we want to stress that it is completely anonymous. There is no way to trace. The interesting thing about it is if a student reports something on their cell phone, there's a number, like a code number, and that code number will continue to pop up for that student's cell phone. Again, no way to trace it. If they did it on their laptop, it gives a different number. If they were to, for whatever reason, delete the app from their phone and then put it back on and report something else, it's a different code number. So, and again, there's no way to trace it. So, and just some of the different things, the report button, and then there's also a messenger button. So in that messenger button, the administrator can communicate with that student and ask questions regarding the report that they filed. So they'll be able to see it. There's some down times. I think I put the time for 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then it'll give them a message that says, this is an out of, say they put something in at 9 o'clock, this is an out of regular time. There may be a delay in response. And so this is just a short video, just a couple minutes, and it gives you more information about the app. It's a little messy.
Always her.
We do hope to have this rolled out to all school sites by next Thursday. Each school site is going to, do it in the best way for them. I did send this video out to all of the staff, all of the employees, so that everybody's aware that that we have this app and they can help students. Anybody that's having an issue, if they, are afraid to come forward, don't want to come forward, they can, report something that is happening to them or happening to somebody else. So just quickly, I was going to show you just the back end of the app, what the administrators will see. When the administrators look at it, they can, there's a little messenger button in it that, they can have that conversation with students. There's places where they can document the incident. And once incidences are in the program, they can't be deleted. So they have to go through and finalize the incident, close out the incident in order for it to be finished. Once it's closed, then they would have to open up another incident. But like I said, next Thursday is when we would hope that all of the school sites will have that rolled out. Each school site will have their own different access code. So and access codes are pretty simple. For Tropico, it would be TMS Eagles, and that goes for all of the school sites, RHS, Road Runners. The only one that's different is West Park because theirs was already taken, so they're WES Wilds, but everybody else kind of follows their
mascot
and their sort of abbreviation. So thank you.
Can we ask any questions on that?
Okay.
A couple of concerns. If it's completely anonymous, is there a safeguard against students reporting bogus bullying situations?
Well, so what I was hoping to show you is there's a series of questions that have to be answered as they go through it. And one of them is, know that a false claim will be investigated. Generally, we don't get too many false claims, but there are a series, like I said, a series of, tell us about the incident, who's involved in the incident, can you tell us about the incident? Are you in danger right now? There's a possibility that they can upload a picture or a video, as documentation.
And that's kind of my follow-up question is, are we promoting the use of cell phones on campus along with pictures and videos?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to come from campus. Sometimes there might be some cyberbullying that someone wants to report. They can screenshot the Instagram or Facebook or wherever it is and put that on there.
But they could also take pictures and video of incidents on campus and upload them. Is that encouraging the use of cell phones for that?
Well, they could do that now, and they do that now. I don't know that this is going to increase the use of that, but any additional documentation that administrators can have to rectify a situation would be beneficial. But again, we're not going to say, hey, get your phones ready. But
thank you.
Superintendent, Ms. Gaines. Good evening, and I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Mrs. Aqenenni and Mr. Riley, it's always a pleasure to be at Rosamond High School. And as I sat here this evening, it's just incredible to me. I want to give a shout out to my maintenance and grounds crew, because I was just here, as Mr. Clausen said, for a concert in early February, and ironically, one of the black flags was hanging on, it was like not really, it was just sort of hanging down there, and here I am back, and it's been corrected. So I'll have to make sure that I let the facilities guys know that they are doing an incredible job, and they have such an eye for detail. I want to say, Mrs. Aqenenni, also to you, Mr. Riley, to your team of teachers and your entire staff, kudos on the WASP visit, and I'm just amazed at the fact that you're going to be bringing back the AP classes. I thought there was 4, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later. I think we're missing chemistry, but you can look into that for me. So keep up the good work. We can never do enough for our kids to prepare them for college and career and beyond. So, and I also want to say to Mr. Wallace, his cadet corps, he's only had them for a semester or not even probably a half yet, and I'm so impressed with the discipline we saw and the work that he's obviously done with that group of students. So, and music has always been near and dear to my heart. I've done a lot with music programs over my career, and I'm so impressed by the music program that we have here in Southern Kern. And I wish they could have played all of the numbers that they played that evening, but it was so nice for you to bring them this evening. So kudos to Mr. Clausen for his work with those students. And I'm very excited that he's going to go on and compete at other high schools. We've had 2 LCAP meetings with parents and teachers, and some administrators have come out to support us. We have our 3rd meeting this Thursday at 3:30 at the district office, working on our 4 LCAP goals for the rewrite that we have to do this year. So I want to remind everybody, please come back this Thursday, because we have a lot more work that we want to do. And I just want to end by saying that as we near year. It's hard for me to say. It's going by that quickly. We have a lot of things in the works that we're trying to do, as Jonathan mentioned, on our limited budget and stay within those walls and those boundaries, so we will be able to get out of this this financial crisis that we are in. But I just want to thank all of my cabinet members because and really everyone in the district, because everyone's working very, very hard, and it's not always an easy job to do the work that they would like to do with a restricted budget. And I see a lot of people, thinking, how else could we do this without actually having the funds? And I'll close this evening with a couple comments. One to Mr. Quellman. Mr. Quellman, I could possibly talk about adding that podium in on the negotiations if you're willing to, give me what I want in the negotiations. That podium could disappear one day, Mrs. Aqenenni.
That's for Tropico, not RTA.
Oh, it's not? Okay. So, and last, I want to say to Mr. Mark Riley, I didn't know that was the vehicle that your class is building, but after watching Ford versus Ferrari, I have never been to Willow Springs, but I'm thinking I might be able to take that to Willow Springs and do a lap. Really? Okay. Well, I'm intrigued. It might come up missing, I'm heading down the Rosamond Boulevard in. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming. The Cadet Corps, amazing. They are just amazing. Our band, again, amazing. It's just so wonderful to see our kids doing so well, especially since we almost thought we would not have anything for like Cadet Corps a couple of years ago. So I'm very happy to see that. Thank everybody for coming. Great presentations from the high school. And Mr. Riley, that is it. I was out there inspecting it earlier. I like that.
Yeah, I'll look at the nuts and bolts and we put it together pretty quick.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. As a board, we hear about everything that's going on in the district that's maybe not such good news, and it is so refreshing to remember that we do have some fabulous students here, and students that are on track for success and that are creative, and thank you for the reminder because sometimes we need to be reminded that we have some really great students here. Appreciate it.
All right, I too would like to thank everybody for attending. Mr. Wallace, Mr. Clayson, I think you have already rolled out, but great job. The discipline of the Cadet Corps is amazing. There's being in the military, there's some first 5 or 6 month people that I get in that don't have that discipline, and they're young adults and should be in. So great job there. Band, good luck at your competitions coming up. Sports, Mr. Riley, keep it on. You're doing great things. Also at the junior high, so sports, just keep doing what you're doing. And Ms. Aqenenni and Mr. Riley, great job tonight. It's refreshing to see a bunch of staff here as well. Got a little cheering section back there and one over here, so great job getting people showing up, and that's always refreshing to see.
Thank you for coming, and kudos to the Cadet Corps and the Rosamond High School band. Can't say enough for that. Consent items A through 1, and the approved purchase orders for the 200-448-20264 should read 200-464, and the vouchers are the same. So do I have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
If you take a look at G, Lee's field trips for RES, it says they're taking buses if they get approved. But then you take a look at D for the grad night trip, and then we had to go out of our district to get a bus. And that's not just happening with us seniors, it's happening with Avid. I know the National English Honor Society asked for a bus, and they were told no. And a couple other clubs asked for buses, and they get told no. But there's 7 proposed to take a bus. So.
I have a little bit more detail too. What happens is, with the way our buses, the contracts, and also the laws regarding to how long the bus drivers can work, what happens is they take them down, then they have to get a hotel room for them, so they can rest until the time is that they can come back on the clock and drive. And then that would mean that the kids are standing outside Universal Studios for over an hour and a half at 1 o'clock in the morning. So it became it just wasn't going to work. The safety factor just alone, having the kids stand outside Universal Studios waiting for our bus to come. So they went to a plan B, and that's why they went with the buses for this.
And Mr. Moore, I believe if you look at the times, a lot of the time, I think RES is going from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. There's nothing else going on the day during that time, so they can get the buses. If you went outside of the time where there's pickups, there's a limited amount of buses for pickups and drop-offs at the beginning and the end of the school day. If you're Avid and you want to go to a college, you're going to take up most of the day. So you're going to be taking a bus away from delivery. So a lot of it's timing as well when they look at the big schedule.
Well, I know as I'm an Avid, we put 8:30 to 2 for Kamala. We were told no because that was out of range. But 2 of them are leaving at 8:30 and not coming back till 2:30. So
Yeah, maybe that day. Something's going on that day. There's a lot of things going in scheduling. You have multiple trips, multiple people asking. Maybe first in, first out. So if you're not on the ball, get your paperwork in. You're one of the last ones. Sports has first priority probably.
They're going to get first priority.
So there's a lot of things that goes into planning it. I'm not saying it's probably the most efficient and the effective way, but there is a scheme and there is a system out there. And you can probably get more guidance at a different time if you have any specific questions.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve consent items with the change to B. Consent items A through I. I'll second that motion.
Second by Gutierrez. Thank you, by Kelsey. All in favor? Aye. One absent.
Nay.
One nay. Hearing for the public comment for the initial reopener proposal of the public school employer, Kern Unified School District to the California School Employees Association and its Rosamond Chapter 587 for the 2019-20 collective bargaining negotiations. Initial reopener proposal to the CSEA was presented on December 13, 2019. Ms. Gaines.
Yes, this proposal was initially presented on December 13th. We are just bringing it back this evening for the public to have an opportunity to make any comments they would like on the articles to be negotiated between CSEA and the district.
Make a motion that we recess for public comment.
Gutierrez makes a motion for open public hearing. Second by Robinson at 8:25. All in favor? Aye. One absent. Stephen?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing. Any comments?
Where does the public have access to the reopener?
Good question.
If they're going to make comments, don't they have to have access to the reopeners? This is what the public gets. Yeah. I'm not the public, I get it. I get the stuff. But how does the public get this? If the only agenda they get is 4 pages, how can they make comments on it? And that includes, you know, what we're going to do with the RTA proposal here soon.
So we don't have anybody here from CSEA. What was that?
From CSEA. Representation from CSEA?
I think we have members that they're on the board.
Okay, I could be wrong, but I believe that all the documents that are on the agenda, if you request copies or go into the office and ask to see them, they are available for anyone who asks to see them. Could be wrong, but
No, I would agree with that, I understand. I would agree with that, you're right.
How many people in the public know to go to the district office to request a document? Probably not even 20%.
Which one would need to call the district office and find out how they can get copies?
Just saying, Mr. Bowman's at a point here for the last 4 board meetings. So maybe the ones at the table should be listed when we walk in.
Well, I think we're going on video right now and recording here. Anybody that wants copies can go to the district office and they can request those copies and they can get them. Good enough?
Thank you.
Can we close the public hearing? Do I hear a motion? Second?
Thanks, Lee.
All in favor? Aye. One absent. Student vote. Receipt and public notice of the Rosamond Teacher Association and its proposal in negotiations for updates to the contract bargaining in the 2021 school year. Ms. Gaines?
Yes, this is the first showing of the proposed, from RTA, the proposed contract negotiations for the 2020-2021 school year, which we will begin negotiations sometime this spring. We do not have a date, and the district will come back with their the articles that we would like to negotiate on in future, at one of the future board meetings. This is reviewing.
I hear a motion, well, before we start that, we close the public hearing at 8:29, I think, before that. Do I hear a motion for open public hearing at 8:29?
Motion.
Motion by Terrace, second by
Thanks, Lee.
Benson. All in favor? Aye. One absent. Student vote. Do we have any public hearing comments?
I could read the whole proposal, but nobody wants that.
When can they get those proposals?
I have something public to say.
Hopefully from the district.
I appreciate that the Teachers Association is taking into their considerations the position that the finances are in, and that you have been cooperative in that. Appreciate it so much, and also appreciate you defending our teachers. Thank you, Mr. Kern.
Well, and I apologize. I know I come across sometimes as being a thorn, to say it nicely, but I just think we need to always be aware of our procedures, our communication, and the things that we can do that draws the public in to be involved like we want to have them involved. So if the board has questions at any time regarding the teacher's proposal and the rationale behind those, I'm always glad to answer questions in open session, in closed session. Look forward to working with Mrs. Gaines over it, getting our first opportunity to work in negotiations. And we haven't negotiated really anything significantly for several years. It's been 3 years since 2016. So looking forward to the process, and also appreciate the fact that we're in a position unusual in the Valley in that we are negotiating for next year, as it should be, whereas most of the Valley is still negotiating for the current year or even last year. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that the board and Mrs. Gaines worked with RTA to say, hey, we've taken care of our business from a couple years ago, and now let's move forward from the proper point in time, make sure we're set for next year. So I think it'll be a very positive experience. Of course, we'll see when I read the district's proposal.
Well, I've got to say that 19 years that I've been on the board, it's been a pleasure to work.
Thank you.
More comments?
I wanted to ask for a 5.3% salary increase, but it didn't seem reasonable. It was my goal before I retire to have the top teacher salary at a certain point, but unfortunately that's not going to happen.
I think he has a better chance of getting the podium.
I'll load it up in my car and take it home.
Close public hearing at 8:33. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Terrace, second by Robinson, all in favor? Stephen? Board policy update, second reading and approval. Ms. Gaines.
Yes, these board policies were presented to you last board meeting for first reading. They're just brought back this evening for your approval. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to explain what they are, but it's the same ones you saw last board meeting, excuse me.
I have reviewed board policies. I have no comment, no input. Thank you.
They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Most of the time they are.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the policies as written.
Thank you, Terrace. Second?
Excellent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any absent? Stephen?
Aye.
Board policy update, second reading on selection of option 1 or option 2 for approval. Ms. Gaines.
Yes, last board meeting, we brought board policy 5141.21 and administrative reg 5141.21 to the committee brought it to the entire board for discussion because of the severity of this board policy. There's option 1 and option 2 of this board policy. Option 1, first of all, the board policy entails adopting a policy allowing parent or guardian, but not school personnel, to administer medicinal cannabis in a non-smokable, non-vapable form at a school site to a student who is a qualified patient. policy explains the conflict between state and federal law and provides options for districts to authorize or not authorize administration of medicinal cannabis at a school site. So for districts that choose to authorize medicinal cannabis, policy reflects the components that are mandated to be in policy, including requirements for parents or guardians to provide a written medical recommendation for the student to be administered medicinal cannabis, sign in at the school before administering the cannabis, and remove any remaining cannabis from the school site. Regulation reflects new law AB 743, which requires districts to accept a physician statement for inhaled asthma medication from a health plan operating under the laws of Mexico that is licensed in California. So the option here is that option one, you will allow the parent to come on and administer this medicinal cannabis at the school site, or option two, that we would not allow it and the parent would have to either provide this medicinal cannabis to their child at home or come remove the child from campus and take them off as needed. So this is where we were. We had some discussion last board meeting on whether it should be option one or option two. And I think the board did not come to a final conclusion at the end of the discussion. So it is brought back this evening for a final conclusion and hopefully board approval either on option one or option two.
I see that there's a motion set up at the bottom. This is only the second reading, or can we take a motion at this point? Or take action at this point?
It's an action item.
It's an action item? Then I would make a motion that we accept option two and not allow medical cannabis on our campuses.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Student?
Aye.
Approved consolidation agreement between Southern Kern Unified School District and the Rosamond Community Service District. Yes, after talking with schools legal Chris Berger and also our own Wally Davis and Steve Perez from the Rosamond Community Service District, this document is asking that we exchange 4 acre-feet yearly for potable drinking water here on the campus of Rosamond High School. And it's not, I want to make it clear, it's not, for example, in 2020, 2021, would it be 4 feet, and then we're going to give up another 4 feet the following year to make a total of 8 feet. It's just 4 feet every year. Now, I suppose at some time if the meters, we have a new meter working after probably a year of collecting data and maybe seeing that we're consuming a lot more, that they could come back at some time and possibly ask to have that adjusted a little bit. But at this time, they made it, Mr. Perez made it very clear, and so did Chris Berger from Schools Legal, that he felt it is safe for the board to approve this 4 acre-feet to get the potable drinking water here at the high school.
Now, are we going to be charged for potable water, or so it could be? I know it can't be a straight exchange, but something close.
You mean the 4 acre-feet for the water?
Yeah.
It's just for access, not for the water itself.
Well, that's what.
Right. I believe it's. My understanding it is an exchange, one for the other.
Because when I read the contract, the proposed contract, It wasn't very clear. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and Mr. Gutierrez, what I understand from Chris Berger is that he sent me an email after reading the new contract, making sure that it did just ask us for the 4 acre feet, that he felt that that what our CSD is asking us for, we should agree to. That is that's.
I know we should, but I'm asking is, what are we going to be charged for water?
My understanding is we're not here going to get charged for water here at Rosamond High School.
It's not in the contract.
It's not?
No.
Okay. So.
I would like to table it and review it again.
My understanding is the same as Superintendent Gaines, that this is an exchange.
But it's not the contract.
It was my understanding that what we needed in the contract was language to establish the type of business that we would be defined if we were to be charged, domestic versus commercial, that kind of thing. But what this contract, I believe, accomplished is a couple of things. The previous version, as Superintendent Gaines said, if we were wildly off in the estimate of how much water we were giving the district versus taking from the district, there could be a true-up conversation. In the previous version of this contract, it was very one-sided in the water district's favor that should there be any overage, it was almost an arbitrary accessing of additional acre feet. And that's what our attorney, Chris Berger, objected to the most in the contract. Potentially, they could be encroaching on our ability to use the rest of our water rights to provide irrigation that we have become reliant on this campus. There are other things that are a win for the district. I believe I put in my Friday letter, I hope it was clear, but in the process of connecting to the water system, the district will be able to have included in that excavation and piping work the preliminary structures should there ever be an expansion toward the back of the campus of new school buildings. You may remember I only learned obviously through these conversations that part of what prevented the construction or progress of a possible construction project to a 2-story building was the sort of almost crippling expense of adding in the required 4 additional fire hydrant stations and additional water piping itself just for consumption and use in those buildings. So those will be installed and ready to go should the district ever need them. And we do expect that at some point we will probably need additional fire hydrants back there just because of the evolution of things. I could only reiterate what the superintendent said. The recommendation of our council was that this is a good deal for the district to be able to get out of the constant need to disturb our community about or provide anxiety to our community over the toxicity of our water.
I want to see that right.
Yeah. I'm concerned because the water services or whatever charge a lot of money. And so I'm concerned that we clarify that we aren't running up a huge bill.
Yeah, but from someone from RCSD.
Your name, sir?
Thank you. My name is Brock Smith. I'm the Public Works Manager for Rosamond Community Services District, and hopefully I can offer some clarification on this contract. The contract itself is for the consolidation agreement for the Rosamond Regional Arsenic Consolidation Project. What you're agreeing to is to give 4 acre feet of your annual pumping allotment per the Antelope Valley groundwater adjudication. So you're giving those rights to the district to pump on your behalf. We would be extracting those 4 acre feet from our well, delivering those 4 acre feet through a meter to the school at our meter rates. That meter rate covers the pumping and the delivery of that water. So you would still be charged at a general metered rate, but the water rights you're giving up in this agreement would just be passed on to us so we could pump the water for the school district. The metered rates for Rosamond Community Services District are available on our website or at our district office, and those are the same rates the school district would be charged.
Now, you won't be using our pumps, you'll be using your pumps at your well.
Correct. The purpose of the Rosamond
is what you're going to be basically buying from with our rights.
Yeah, you would be giving the rights to Rosamond CSD. And we would be using your groundwater rights to supply water to your school. And that's the reason that if in future years we go over, or the school district was to go over in that usage, we would ask that more rights be transferred because we're pumping to provide that water to the school district. But the cost of the delivery would be paid through those metered rates.
So we're actually not giving them anything from our wells other than the rights to pump.
Correct. And the Rosamond School District has 202 acre feet for the adjudication. So you would have 198 acre feet retaining and pumping rights to continue to serve water to your school through your own wells.
Would you?
That's what I wanted to, that's kind of what I was reading in the contract, but it was not clear.
I would also like to note that this project is intended to be funded completely by the State Water Resources Control Board. So the connection fees for this project and the connection cost for the project is funded by the state, not by Rosamond CSD or by the school district.
Would you also elaborate a little bit on the removal from this contract on the 25% fee should we actually exceed what we need? That was something that I know that our lawyers made sure was removed from this contract. The additional fee of 25%.
Absolutely. So the regional arsenic consolidation project includes, it started as 10 water districts in 2009. It's down to 8 right now. But the remaining 8, or the remaining 7 of these 8 are single family residences. The water district has a demand study that was adopted to estimate water demand for single family homes. We don't have a demand study to estimate usage for a school. So really this is just an estimate, and this is based on a lot of conversations with the maintenance staff at the school that operate those wells. We're using our best guess on what this is going to use in a year's time. Rosamond CSD staff as well as district staff felt like that was a safe estimate at 4 acre feet. A previous version of the contract had an inflator that if the school district went over that 4 acre feet, they would give us the additional amount plus 25%. That was removed from the contract. So if in future years the high school uses 5 acre feet, 1 additional acre foot would be transferred to make that total 5. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your being able to come up and explain that for us. All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the water for
Motion by Gutierrez, second by Dr. Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Approved single school plan for Rosamond High School Early College Campus. Lisa Aqenenni. You want to talk about your school plan?
Sure. I'm sorry, I've never had to do this before, so do I talk about my goals or what do I do?
Whatever you want to do.
She was simple.
Please don't read the entire document.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, we addressed the new LCAP goals in regards to, achievement, mental health, and a safe and caring place for our families and for our students. So I'll just kind of go very briefly. In regards to our data that we had, our kids, that I took all the classes that weren't A through G, took them off of the master schedule for this year and added in A through G. So now the students have an opportunity to get that. Also too, that we started or we're trying to refine this year an RSP inclusion program for all of our RSP kids, where they're out in general education classes for as much as their IEP will allow. And they also have a study skills class then. During that time, they can get caught up in assignments and work with their PACE carrier. We're also going to bring back AP classes, as I said earlier, to help with the rigor, and that is a WASC recommendation for the rigor. We need to expand in our mental health therapists next year. We would like to have somebody here full time. We have a great need. A lot of the kids come with a lot of trauma and a lot of things that make it difficult for them to be in the day. So we're hoping for that. Hold a quarterly parent meeting. I'd like to hold one before we start school next year on some topics such as human trafficking, suicide prevention, and cyberbullying. I attended a seminar put on by Kern County about a month ago, and I got a lot of resources of folks that will come from Bakersfield over to talk about human trafficking and drugs and how to recognize drug use at home and that kind of thing. So I'd like to hold that before school starts next year, and they'll do it for free. Also, part of our growth for WASC is also to increase parent involvement. We know that this is a strong need. We're going to try to have some parent nights, continue social media outreach on Facebook, Blackboard, Twitter, and our websites. Also, to make sure they know about events, things that are going on, and also our CTE advisories to help them keep going, to guide our CTE classes and have that keep going. It's happening right now. Avid family nights, to have more of those for next year. Our dashboard shows that our CASP, ELA, and math scores need to move 10%. So we'd like to try to get them to move from orange, which isn't very good. It's not as bad as red, but it's orange to yellow. We're trying to get them to move a band up. We're hoping to do that by getting them more exposure to using the CASP intern assessments so they can get used to the rigor of the test. We're currently doing that right now. We're doing it for the math and the English. We're also going, this is a recommendation from WASC as well, to have higher level math courses available to the students. And like I said earlier during my presentation, we're going to limit the enrollment in our business math classes right now. So the kids will be put into higher level math to get them going and get them more aware and ready for the test. Our English language learners this year were in a 58-minute class that was designated just for EL development. We'll see how that turns when we have our LPAC test this year. When we see those results, we're hoping that's going to do much better. She's also, the teacher's also stressing how important it is for the students. She's trying to bring it home to them to see how well they can do on the test so they can redesignate and they can earn an elective. Let's see. And that's it in a nutshell. How's that? Is that quick enough? So there. Do you guys have any questions or concerns?
I'd like to make a comment. I noticed that on many of the 18-19 were below standard, and I wanted to let you know that we were without a principal then.
Yes,
that
I know.
year. And because there was not a full staff, I want to just take that into consideration, that year's scores were a little low, and I have high hopes that next year's will be much better, and the year after that,
Yes.
even more.
We're also trying a different testing strategy this year where the math teachers are going to be doing the math test. Science is going to be doing the science. And then 11th grade, the English language arts folks are going to be handling their English thing. This year, for science though, we want to get caught up because in the past, the 12th graders had been tested in science, which probably wasn't the best because it's been 2 years since they had science in their classes. So we're starting with 10th grade this year. We are testing 11th and 12th grade to get them caught up. And then every year after that, they're going to be tested in 10th grade when they all have science. So we're hoping for some better scores for that as well. But this year, we're going to play a little catch up. And 10th, 11th, and 12th graders will all be tested in science, and then we'll be caught up. So we're hoping that'll be a better strategy for science as well.
I just wanted to let everybody know that we recognize that there were adverse.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
That now that we have a full staff,
Yes.
and, you know.
It was very hard on everybody last year, is my understanding. It was very hard.
Right, so.
Yeah. We're going to try our best.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we accept the high school's single student plan.
Motion by Harris, second by
Second.
Dr. Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
One absent. Student?
Aye.
Approve the following listed personnel items. Ms. Green?
Yes, there's just, as you can see, we had to hire some new campus CSOs and a couple of a paraeducator, our coaching staff, and we've had a math teacher resign. So these are just positions that we are filling. We're not hiring any new position. These are just to replace people who've either moved into other positions or have resigned.
I make a motion that we accept the personnel as written.
Motion by Harris, second by
Thanks.
Steve. All in favor? One absent. Approve the 2021 certificated administration and classified management salary schedule. Ms. Gaines? The salary schedule is basically, when I first looked at the salary schedule for leadership and management, I noticed there was no real rhyme or reason as to how it was created. There was no set number of columns. Some categories, some positions rather, had many columns, and some were limited to just 4 or 5 columns. I noticed there was also possibly an issue with some of the female employees, and so one of the first things that I was advised to do is to work on making a salary schedule that was equitable, or it was gender equitable, and also it sort of prioritized the employee by position. For example, a principal shouldn't be making more than a director, for example. And so I sat down for several days with Lisa Lopez, my HR gal, and we looked at management salary schedules for like districts, Tehachapi, Mojave. We had 8 different districts of documents to look and see what the pattern. One of the things that I noticed in Southern Kern was the directors. We have 3 directors currently, and they all had their own, like they were all traveling their own path instead of being on one path. I mean, people can be at different columns in that path, but they should all be, they're all directors. They should all be on one path. All of their work is valuable to us as a district. And so Mrs. Lopez and I sat down and we worked on making the jump between each columns equitable, and then presented it to Kern County because I knew they'd have to approve it, and they actually said they applaud us for doing that because some of the positions were extremely problematic. That's all I'm going to say. So this is the final product.
I make a motion that we accept. new salary schedule.
Motion by Gutierrez, second by Dr. Robinson. All in favor? On the absent? Thank you, Mrs. Gaines, for giving us that. This is officially done.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9 p.m.
Adjourned by Moore, second by Dr. Robinson at 9 p.m. Thank you all for coming.